Chest up, shoulders back. This is Revival Fitness, your home for gains and brains. And we recently talked about the nightmare physique when it comes to skinny fat. We have an example here. It's not on the level of nightmare, but it's a physique that many of you can relate to, and we're going to see how this guy really successfully got out of it. But we have to cover a few key things and go over misconceptions a lot of you guys and the general public still have. So we can see here, male, 28, 5'9". I have currently hidden his weight and the amount of time that this took. I want you guys to guess down below what you think that his starting and ending weight was between these two pictures, and how long it took him to achieve this. You see the first one, this is the classic front-facing check-in photo, and this is the worst that you're really ever going to look, or that anybody's going to look, in a general picture. When you're facing the front like this, your arms look as small as they're ever going to. The side view makes anybody's arms look much bigger. Even some level of angling. The most raw perspective of your current physique, it is going to be the front-facing check-in photo in mid-lighting. That's going to give you the most honest assessment of your current standing, and as much as it may hurt to look at, that's reality. Now compare this to the photo on the right. He definitely looks much better, of course, but notice, he is angled to the side. When you turn to the side, your waist automatically appears smaller. You're going to get more of your delt and your arm visible as well. Same with the chest. You can also notice that he's got his phone right up to his face. This is in a bathroom against the mirror. That perspective alone makes anybody look bigger than they actually are. From the weakest novice on earth up to the biggest bodybuilder alive, everybody looks bigger when they're up against a mirror with their phone in their hand. Compare that to the left. He has his phone set up some distance away. His entire body is in the shot too. That difference alone is massive in terms of how you appear in the photos. So while it is obvious this dude made serious progress, keep that in mind when looking at these transformation photos, because many of you guys have your general photos like he has on the left here, and then you see these influencers that take all of the photos closer to the one on the right, let alone now with all of the professional quality cameras and the Photoshop in the Lightroom, and they're edited to such a high degree, and they're under the perfect lighting and all these gyms. It's not comparable to your general picture in your room, and you can see tons of examples of this. You see people on Instagram and their specifically planned photos versus candid videos when they're just walking around. They can look half the size. When it comes to looking your best, not only does this tie into photos and videos and social media, it also ties into how well you dress and present your physique. Whether it's a formal or casual setting, nothing can ruin your outfit faster than an old, beat-up belt. You can see my old belt here, and a lot of guys are still wearing these. They're stretched out, they're totally worn down, maybe they pinch your waist or they sag too much for the given pants. They simply throw off the entire look. And that's why I'm excited to have Anson Belt and Buckle as the sponsor of today's video. This is a family-run company that's been around since 2009, and they have completely reinvented how belts work and how they're worn. Instead of the typical holes that have long distances apart, Anson uses a micro-adjustable track system with quarter-inch increments, so your belt fits perfectly every single time. And once you experience this kind of convenient fit and comfort and the ease of adjustment compared to a normal belt, while it still looks good, no matter how much you adjust it, you're never gonna go back. And not only that, but Anson also has an interchangeable system for the belts and the straps. That means you can mix and match any buckle with any strap. So you'll always have a belt that matches your outfit perfectly without having to buy dozens of belts that clutter up your closet. So for example, if you buy 3 belts and 3 straps with Anson, that produces a total of 9 combinations that you can choose from. And as you can see, while these belts look great, this is not simply about style. It's about feeling more comfortable, more confident, and more polished, no matter what you may be wearing. Since I've gotten mine, I've been wearing them non-stop. They're the perfect go-to for any casual setting, for a date, for a job interview, or for a formal occasion, and the results speak for themselves. Anson has over 40,000 5-star reviews, is a family-owned and operated company, and backs all of their belts with a lifetime guarantee. Anson stands behind every product they make, and once you try yours, you're gonna see why. And because Anson Belt and Buckle is sponsoring today's video, when you click the link in the description box or scan this QR code on the screen to build your box set, you'll get 2 bonus pieces, a buckle and a strap, completely free. That's 3 buckles and 3 straps total, which can be mixed and matched into 9 unique belt combos, all in one box. This is an exclusive deal that you're not going to get anywhere else. So click the link or scan the code, build your set, and upgrade your belt game today. So now for the reveal. He is 130 pounds on the left, and on the right, 142. So a lot of people, when they see this transformation without that context, they would immediately think that this guy cut down into this physique. If you are skinny fat, like he is on the left here, foundationally, you lack a muscle mass. This guy's BMI at the start was 19.2. And I know the BMI is flawed, guys, but we use it as a simple reference point, because when comparing anybody that is untrained, or still a very new novice, they barely have muscle to begin with, so there's not much real variance when it comes to using BMI. On top of that too, you also don't have to guess, because that's what you're really doing, and you can get pretty close if you have a trained eye, but you have to guess somebody's body fat to get an FFMI calculation. So for that reason, for novice lifters, BMI is going to suffice pretty well in these scenarios. And beyond that too, getting a novice lifter to properly estimate their body fat is a hell of a challenge. Most of them are going to be over or under by at least 5% or so. Many guys now, if you saw my recent reel about FitX Fearless, he is like mid to high teens body fat here. So many people commented, "Oh my god, bro, he's 10 to 12%, because he's got some visible ab line showing faintly." Nope. That does not mean you're that lean, guys. But young lifters, again, don't know better. So if we look at him on the left here, what would you guess his body fat is? Just going off a pure visual right now, probably about 20% or so. I mean, he might be slightly above 20%. A lot of people would see, oh, okay, he's 20% body fat or above, or even close to it. That must mean you should cut. If you look at these 2 photos and believe that you're going to simply cut down from left to right, and you're going to just solve your skinny fat problem, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. If he was to cut from the left photo, he would lose some body fat, of course. But given the fact that he barely has any muscle, and yet again, I mean, the height to weight and the body fat percentage, just from that alone, you could see not much muscle. If you plug that into FFMI, it would be a low number. Depending on genetics, he might see some visible abs depending on how far down that he cuts. But his gym progress is going to tank. And with a lot of guys too, given their kind of baseline metabolism when they're an untrained or very novice lifter, I think this is why a lot of guys struggle to get below certain points of body fat. As I talked about in the recent video too, some guys it's around 15%, they're going to hit major fat loss plateaus there, even if cutting very severely. I think the ultimate solution to that, beyond dietary changes, simply build more muscle. Your baseline metabolism is just not revved up high enough. Your body does not have enough muscle overall to feed and keep growing. Build even 5 to 10 pounds of novice muscle. I think you're going to have an easier time losing that fat once you do so. And even going further than that, you get to the point that you've added 15, 20, 25 pounds of muscle. I would think for most guys, if they've struggled with stubborn fat loss in the past, even cutting very severely, it should be much easier once you've built all that muscle. That's not a guarantee, but I think for most guys in most cases, it's going to be noticeably easier. So let's go to the comments. Mary Kate asks, what was your process? I assume lots of weightlifting? He says, when I started, I could barely lift and carry 40 pounds with both hands. I worked out at home for 2 years. Oh, like Hussein Asshat. Why didn't he get nearly as big as Hussein? I followed a dumbbell workout at home. Then when I joined the gym, I adapted the workout so I could use machines and dumbbells. I only recently started to use barbells as my broken wrist was finally feeling okay. Oh, so he had an injury too. During cutting, I never did high-intensity interval training or extensive cardio. I did light cardio about 20 minutes after the workout, which was a high-incline walk or Stairmaster. I also do ab and oblique work toward the end of every workout, hanging leg raise and captain's chair, wood choppers, and variations, and other floor ab exercises. I do a few until I feel the burn. I don't like the phrase feel the burn. It's very gimmicky personal training, but I know what he means. He goes until he gets a pump. I still do a push-pull legs, bra, routine, and on off days I work out at home doing a light push-pull legs, shoulder, but alternating. So for example, I'd do Tuesday chest and try at the gym, then Wednesday I'd do shoulders and legs at home. Well, that's not a good idea. If you're doing chest and tries, you're also hitting shoulders, at least the front delts, by default, and also the side ones too. So why would you do shoulders the next day at home? This is classic young bro stuff. No need to do this. This worked out great because on my off days I'd have time to cook meals that I can eat at night and take to work the next day. That is something key too, guys. When it comes to this process, whether you're bulking, cutting, recomping, whatever, you need to be on top of your food. And that's not simply just hitting numbers on an app or on a spreadsheet. You need to be aware of the composition of those meals too. Not only the macros and the calories, but also the micronutrients and the types of food. And if you want to learn much more about this in great detail, check out the Body Composition Bible linked down below. It is far more in-depth than any nutrition content you've seen so far. I guarantee you that. He says if I could go back, I would change the way I bulked. Definitely would have ate cleaner. Classic. I would have too back when I was younger. And I would have gone to the gym earlier. I say 3.5 years, but the majority of my change came from when I joined the gym mid-2017. We'll see the timeline coming up. Working out at home with dumbbells was good for developing some muscle, but lower body workouts are just not effective. A very good point. If you're serious about really building the most muscle you can, and as alluded to, really revving up your metabolism and changing your body composition, you cannot be neglecting your lower body. And so many guys still do, no matter how much lip service that it gets. Probably 1 out of 2 bros, realistically, either just doesn't train legs regularly, or if they do, they completely sandbag it. Sandbag is a term for putting in not as much effort as you could, half-assing it. I see guys training legs all the time, even relatively jacked dudes in the upper body, and they go through a set of leg press or hamstring curls. They just go through the motions, rack the weight. They simply train legs to say that they train legs. I see some guys in the gym with their girlfriends. They do the girlfriend's leg workout with them, using the same weights as the girl. And I know a lot of guys ultimately don't care about their legs, but one, women, especially girls that like the gym, do like muscular legs. I've talked to girls that don't even really hit the gym much. They still do as well. So the idea that girls don't care about legs, bro, that is faulty. Some of you still believe that. You must not get laid a whole lot. But beyond that too, most of the muscle in your body, or at least a very good percentage of it, is going to be in the lower body, guys. I mean, you could be leaving 10, 15, or even more pounds of muscle on the table. And on top of that too, a lot of guys struggle with the wide hips and the wide waist. Even if they get lean, they just have a wide pelvis. Guess what? The bigger legs that you build, every guy automatically focuses on the V-taper in the upper body. But if you get big legs, those also make your waist appear smaller too. So there's no downside, guys, to seriously training your legs. None. The only downside is that it hurts. Get over it. And be sure to check out my training programs too. Stop wasting your precious time in the gym. I lay out everything that you need to make serious gains over the long term. Really a lifelong template and progression scheme. Then Commander Keen asks, what you do to cut the body fat? I'm stuck around 16%. Sounds familiar. Wondering if I need to start adding cardio. I lift weights 3 times a week and count macros. Well, as I said too, simply counting macros is an incomplete equation when it comes to optimizing body composition. OP says I wouldn't do intense cardio with a risk of muscle loss.
Nope.
If you do a lot of it, sure. But cardio being intense by default does not make it risky for muscle loss. Late cardio, plenty of protein. Changing my diet had the biggest effect on me, minus 400 to minus 800 deficit. He goes on to say if you're really stuck and can't lower the intake more, I'd suggest intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for a couple weeks and so far it seems to be working. I also get a little more sleep because I skip breakfast. So that is one way to reduce the total food intake for the day, just to eat in less of a window than you did before. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, there's always a debate of does it enhance fat loss? Does it have some special properties? I really don't think it does. I mean, if you're talking legitimate benefits of fasting, that's going to be the point of fasting like numerous days. not simply for an extra few hours. But if you are somebody that struggles with your appetite, intermittent fasting could be a potential solution, or at least it could help you to some extent when it comes to that. And if you want to see more solutions I have to make cutting as easy and effective as possible, be sure to check out the video in the top corner. I cover a number of them. And now finally, how long did this take? The answer is 3.5 years. So when you see the before and after in isolation, and this is something you're going to see when it comes to fitness content and advertising all the time, you're going to be told you can achieve this in 3.5 months. 3.5 years for this, guys. Now, did it have to take that long? I don't think so necessarily. But the overarching trend here is that the results that you want are going to take longer than you think and than you've been told. Let's get real here, guys. If he was to go from left to right in this photo, he gained that much weight and lost that much body fat in just over 3 months, steroids are going to have to be involved for almost every guy on the planet in that time frame. So here is the full timeline. July 2015 is when he started, about 130 pounds. We next see him at March 2016. That's whenever he was doing the home workouts. He's up to about 140-ish, he says. So let's say about 10 pounds gained, maybe a bit over. Doesn't look like he gained a whole lot of body fat, maybe a little bit. You can see his traps are definitely popping out more, his shoulders are more defined, his arms are bigger. It looks like his chest is much more filled out too. If you are at a point now where you're skinny fat, your first instinct is going to be to cut, but your muscle growth is going to suffer when you do that by default, even with noob gains. So if your body fat's currently at a point that you don't like it, and your BMI is really not high at all, if you can just hunker down and accept, hey, I might gain a little bit of body fat, but you're going to build a lot of muscle concurrently. Eventually, your body fat is going to stabilize. It might even start to go down after you build a given amount of muscle mass. And even past that too, if you gain some body fat, but you gain a lot of muscle at the same time, it's going to look like you have less body fat than you do because the muscle is what's really changing your physique. This is fundamentally why you cannot cut your way out of skinny fat. Man, woman, any age, any height, whether it is low end on the skinny side or high end on the nightmare physique side, you have to build more muscle. It changes you outside, it changes you inside with the metabolism. It's the ultimate solution. It's not simply cutting more and more and then trying to reveal some muscular physique that is not there to begin with. Then we can see him in July 2017. He's up to about 150 pounds or so. He is now going to the gym as well as the home workouts. Looks like he's built a little bit more size. Kind of hard to tell because all of these pictures are framed differently, different lighting. For comparison's sake, this stuff gets very hard to do accurately, but that's just how it is. In any case, we get to January 2018. He's now up to about 160 pounds. So over the course of about 3 years, he has gained about 30 pounds or so. And you can see he still doesn't really look fat. I mean, 160 pounds at 5'9", in terms of BMI, that is 23.6. So he's gone up noticeably, but he's still in the healthy range, as they call it. I mean, I would think this guy puts on a normal size shirt, he's not really going to have much fat sticking out, with the man boobs, the stomach, any of it. And I think genetically this guy is in a decent position. His starting point, people would say, oh, you're doomed, bro. That's what a lot of guys simply look like, with a diet that is all over the place and no real muscle mass built. Some guy like this could think he's got bad genetics till he actually applies himself for long enough. Then he realizes, hey, I look pretty good. So the black and white photo here in January 2018 is the peak of his bulk. Then in July 2018, he's 155 pounds. I don't know exactly when he started cutting. I would think closer to the spring or summer of 2018 because it does not take from January to July to lose 5 total pounds. You can see, though, at 155 pounds even, he's much leaner than he was in January 2018 at 160-ish. So based on this, I would think he probably bulked for a little bit longer, maybe got up to like 165, maybe near 170 at the end of his bulk, sometime around, say, roughly April 2018, just as a guess. Then by July 2018, you can look at that, he is what a lot of guys would call ripped. He's got the lines on the sides, his abs are totally visible, he's got some splitting happening in the chest, his delts are capped, veins in the arms, jawline's much more defined. I'm going to deduct some points because of the angle and the lighting, but I'd say probably about 12% or so in July 2018, because we can see him then in October 8th, 2018, he's down to 144 pounds, noticeably lighter and leaner. So if he's roughly 10% in October 2018, I think you could wager he's about 12% in July. But you can see at this point now, he's got more separation happening in the chest. He's got a lot of ab lines showing, both from the front and from the side. But you can see that his taper overall has improved massively. And remember, guys, when it comes to the two key areas of the bones that people think they can change but they can't, that is your biacromial distance. That's the one between the bones of your shoulders from side to side and your pelvis too. You cannot change those bones. They are how they are unless you get some really invasive surgery. Maybe blast a bunch of growth hormone when you're a teenager or something, maybe. But you cannot change those in almost every single case. You see how much wider he looks, though, in 2018 compared to 2015. That's because he built the muscle. And when you build the muscle, and especially once you trim the fat off after you do so, and again, he is angling more on the after pictures too, I know. Regardless, the taper is improved because of the muscle mass more than anything else. I really wish, for the sake of comparison, we had a straight-on facing shot of him in 2018 after the cut. We're never going to get it, I guess, but he would look noticeably different from the front as well. And then the final picture here, this is 2 weeks after the October 8th, 2018 photo. He's down to 142 pounds at his leanest. And he doesn't look as lean as the October 8th photo. The black and white and the angling, I think, also plays a part in that too, because he's twisting more in the October 8th photo. But you can see, this is what every guy wants. This is the dream, and this guy did it. He went from skinny fat, chest fat, pudgy stomach, just weak overall, into a good taper. He looks like a Greek god statue in the right. Now, when it comes to putting him in a shirt, right, would he look that big if you put him in a general size shirt, say a medium? Probably not. But if you're going to get through your novice gains, roughly speaking, that's what he looks to have done, then you cut down from there. That's what happens, guys. Like I said, a lot of you have a very warped idea of what your weight's going to be at different stages of this process. 142 pounds at 5'9". He's a twig, realistically speaking. An aesthetic twig, yes, but he's quite skinny. So put him in a general shirt, or especially a jacket. You might not really be able to tell that he lifts, at least not that much. Maybe when it comes to the traps, you could tell. In a tank top, definitely. But a typical baggier shirt or long sleeves, you might not be able to tell. But that is what is going to happen. If you do this completely naturally, and you cut down very, very lean, like you can see him here, I mean, he's about like 10%. You get down that lean, and most guys realistically are never going to, you're going to have to lose much more weight than you think. So his final BMI at the end of October 2018 is 21 on the nose. That is a difference of almost 2 full points from 19.2 at the start. And just as a reference point here, let's estimate the FFMI of both of these points too. Let's assume at the start he is 20% body fat to keep it even, 5'9", 130 pounds. His FFMI is under 16. It says his FFMI is 15.39, normalized 15.69. In any case, he's not even really cracking 15.5 FFMI at the start. Then we'll compare that to the after. We'll say he's 10% body fat, just to be even. It could be slightly below that too. But 5'9", 142 pounds, 10%. His FFMI is now above the average range. It is over 19. So he improved his FFMI over 3 points total in this time span. So if we compare his fat-free mass based on these calculations from the start to the finish, we went from 104 to 127.8. That is a difference of 23.8 pounds. Really, you could round up to 24. And keep in mind that is fat-free mass. That's not all going to be muscle. That also includes water and tendons and joints and things like that too. But you can tell visually a very good chunk of that, you could reasonably say probably 75-80% or more, is muscle mass. And how did he do that? At the baseline level, guys, he bulked. He built the muscle, then he cut down after that point. He did not recomp into this. He did not cut into this in some really quick time frame. He took the time, he bulked, he built the muscle, then he cut down. Now he looks 100 times better than he did before. I told you guys this years ago when my channel was still new. That is the solution to fixing legitimate skinny fat. You have to do it. It is inevitable. It is Thanos. You can try to recomp or cut to start, be my guest, but in most cases, you're not going to be happy with how you look. The bulk is what you really need to do, but you need to do it effectively. So be sure to check out my training programs and my nutrition guide, and get in direct contact with me at the links down below if you want to talk about your personal case in more detail. But this has been it for me, guys. Thank you for watching. Shout out to Anson Belt and Buckle for sponsoring this video. Check them out down below as well, and get your savings on your new belt set. And I will catch you guys next time.